Captain Veltara pressed her clawed finger against the scanner display, watching the weak distress signal pulse red against the star map. The debris field stretched for kilometers around her cargo ship, twisted metal and burning fuel creating a graveyard in space. Somewhere in that mess, a small escape pod drifted alone. "Captain, sensors show it's a human vessel," her first officer next door said, his voice filled with disgust. "We should ignore it and continue to the mining station." Veltara's crew gathered around the bridge, all wearing the same expression of annoyance. To them, humans were barely worth acknowledging. The young species had only joined the galactic community 50 years ago, and most aliens saw them as weak newcomers with big dreams and small capabilities. "Humans bring nothing but problems," muttered Kekstar from the weapons station. "They start fights they cannot finish and make promises they cannot keep." The Zephyrian captain studied the readings more carefully. The escape pod's life support was failing, and whoever was inside had maybe 2 hours before the air ran out. According to galactic law, she had a duty to rescue survivors, but her crew clearly wanted to pretend they had never seen the signal. "Prepare the docking bay," Veltara ordered, her decision made. "We're bringing them aboard." Next door's scales turned dark purple with anger. "Captain, this will delay our cargo delivery by at least 6 hours. The mining consortium will not be happy." "The consortium can wait," Veltara replied firmly. "Ready the medical bay as well. Move quickly." The rescue operation took 30 minutes. Veltara watched through the docking bay cameras as her crew used magnetic clamps to pull the damaged pod inside. The small craft was barely holding together, its hull cracked and several systems completely dead. When they opened the pod, they found a young human woman inside, unconscious and badly bruised. Her uniform identified her as Lieutenant Hannah Kim of the Earth Defense Force. The ship's medical scanner showed she had a concussion and several broken ribs, but nothing life-threatening. What was a military officer doing in civilian transport? Nextdoor wondered aloud as they carried Hannah to the medical bay. Veltara found the answer in the pod's data recorder. The transport ship had been carrying medical supplies to colonies hit by a plague outbreak. Pirates had attacked them near the asteroid belt, destroying the main ship and scattering the cargo pods across space. Hannah had been the only survivor. For the first day, Hannah remained unconscious while the ship's medical systems repaired her injuries. The crew went about their normal duties, mostly forgetting about their human passenger. Veltara checked on her several times, curious about the species she had heard so much about but never really met. When Hannah finally woke up, her first words surprised everyone. "Thank you for saving me," she said in perfect Zephyrian, her accent almost flawless. "I know my people are not always welcome on alien ships." Most species took months to learn basic Zephyrian, but this human spoke it like she had studied for years. Veltara was impressed despite herself. "How long until we reach a human outpost?" Hannah asked politely. 2 weeks, Veltara replied. "We will drop you off at Kepler Station on our way to the mining colonies." Hannah nodded and thanked her again. She spent the next few days quietly in the guest quarters, reading and staying out of everyone's way. The crew began to relax, thinking their human passenger would cause no trouble. Then the quantum drive started failing. The ship's main engine used quantum tunneling to fold space, allowing faster travel between star systems. It was extremely complex technology that required constant maintenance. When warning lights started flashing on the bridge, Veltara knew they were in serious trouble. "The quantum field is destabilizing," reported Chief Engineer Morgeth, his forearms working frantically at the control panels. "If we cannot fix it soon, we will be stuck in normal space for months." The problem was in the dimensional matrix, a part of the engine that most engineers barely understood. Veltara watched her crew struggle with the repairs, knowing they were running out of time. In a few hours, the drive would completely shut down. "Captain," came a voice from the doorway. Hannah Kim stood there, still wearing the simple clothes they had given her. "I might be able to help." Nextdoor laughed rudely. "What could a human possibly know about quantum engineering? Your species barely has faster-than-light travel." Hannah ignored the insult and stepped forward. "I studied interdimensional mechanics at the Earth Technical Academy. Our drives work differently, but the basic principles are the same." Veltara was desperate enough to try anything. "Show us what you know." What happened next shocked everyone on the ship. Hannah examined the quantum matrix with the confidence of someone who truly understood the technology. She pointed out several problems the Zephyrian engineers had missed and suggested solutions that actually made sense. "The field generators are out of phase," she explained, her hands moving quickly over the controls. "If we adjust the frequency here and reroute power through the backup conduits, the matrix should stabilize. Working alongside Morgeth and his team, Hannah helped repair the quantum drive in just 4 hours. The engine hummed back to life, space folded around them, and they were moving at full speed again. As they watched the stars streak past the bridge windows, Veltara turned to her human passenger. "Where did you really learn quantum engineering?" Hannah smiled. "Earth takes science education very seriously. We know we are new to the galaxy, so we study everything we can about alien technology." "Your people underestimate humans," Hannah said quietly as they stood together watching space flow by. Veltara was beginning to understand that was completely true. The massive space station Coltheris grew larger on the main screen as Captain Veltara guided her cargo ship toward the docking bay. The station was one of the largest in Zephyrian space, home to over 2 million beings and the center of trade for dozens of star systems. Its metal towers stretched in all directions, covered in blinking lights that never stopped moving. "Docking request approved," came the voice from station control. "Bay 17 is ready for you, Captain Veltara." Hannah Kim stood beside Veltara on the bridge, watching the busy station with interest. Hundreds of ships moved around the massive structure like insects around a hive. Cargo vessels, passenger liners, and military patrol ships all shared the crowded space lanes. "It's bigger than I expected," Hannah said quietly. "Earth stations are much smaller than this." Coltheris has been growing for 300 years, Veltara replied with pride. "It serves as the main hub for this entire sector." The docking process took 20 minutes. Veltara's crew secured the ship and began preparing for their shore leave. They would spend 2 days on the station while new cargo was loaded, then continue their journey to the outer colonies. Hannah would transfer to a passenger ship heading toward human space. "I want to thank you again for everything," Hannah told Veltara as they walked toward the airlock. "Your kindness saved my life. I will not forget it." Veltara nodded politely, but she was already thinking about the mining contracts waiting for her review. The rescue had been the right thing to do, but now she needed to focus on business. They had barely stepped onto the station when the security team appeared. 6 Zephyrian officers in dark uniforms surrounded them, their weapons clearly visible but not yet drawn. Their leader, a tall female with bright red scales, stepped forward. "Captain Veltara, I am Commander Thexnor of Station Security. We need to speak with your passenger immediately." Veltara felt her stomach drop. She recognized Thexnor's uniform markings. This was not regular security, but Zephyrian intelligence. "What is this about, Commander?" "The human must come with us for questioning," Thexnor replied coldly. "This is a matter of planetary security." "She's under my protection," Veltara said firmly. "I rescued her according to galactic salvage law. She has done nothing wrong." Thexnor's laugh was harsh and unpleasant. "Galactic law doesn't apply to primitives, Captain. We need to assess what threat these humans pose to our expansion plans." Hannah stepped forward calmly, her hands visible and empty. "I am Lieutenant Hannah Kim of the Earth Defense Force. I was delivering medical supplies when pirates attacked my transport. I have committed no crimes in Zephyrian space." "That remains to be determined," Thexnor said. "Your species has been expanding very quickly through this sector. We need to understand your military capabilities and intentions." Veltara moved to stand beside Hannah. "This is wrong, Commander. She's a refugee, not a spy. I won't let you take her." More security officers appeared from the crowd of station residents. Soon they were surrounded by at least 20 armed Zephyrians. Other aliens stopped to watch the confrontation, but none seemed willing to get involved. Humans were not popular in this part of the galaxy, and most beings would not risk trouble to help one. "Captain Veltara, you have no choice in this matter," Thexnor declared. "Step aside, or you will be charged with interfering with a security investigation." Hannah gently touched Veltara's arm. "It's okay, Captain. You've already done more for me than anyone could ask. I don't want you to get in trouble because of me." "This isn't right," Veltara protested. "You helped repair my ship. You proved you're not just some primitive alien." "Your people underestimate humans, Captain," Hannah said with a sad smile. "But perhaps that will change someday." As the security officers moved closer, Hannah remained perfectly calm. She did not try to run or fight. Instead, she slowly reached into her uniform pocket, moving carefully so no one would think she was going for a weapon. "I'm just getting my identification," she told the officers. Thexnor nodded impatiently. "Hurry up. We don't have all day." Hannah pulled out what looked like a standard identity card, but Veltara noticed her thumb press against a small section on the back. For just a moment, a tiny light flashed red, so quickly that most people would have missed it. "Captain Veltara, you've shown me great kindness during these past weeks," Hannah said as the security officers surrounded her. "I hope you won't be punished for helping me." There was something in Hannah's voice that made Veltara's scales prickle with worry. The human sounded calm, but underneath the politeness was something else, not fear, but a kind of quiet confidence that seemed completely out of place. "Take her to detention level 5, Thexnor ordered. Full isolation protocols. No contact with anyone until the interrogation is complete." As they led Hannah away, Veltara tried to follow, but 2 security officers blocked her path. "I'm sorry, Captain, but you cannot come with us. Return to your ship and continue your business." Veltara watched helplessly as Hannah disappeared into the crowd of security officers. The human never looked back, never struggled, never showed any sign of panic. She walked away like someone who knew exactly what was happening and was not afraid of what came next. Standing alone on the busy station platform, Veltara felt a deep chill of foreboding settle into her bones. Something in Hannah's final words suggested this situation would not end quietly. The captain had no idea how right she was. Captain Veltara was reviewing cargo manifests in her quarters when the first alarm sounded. The sharp, piercing wail echoed through every corridor of the space station, a sound she had only heard during emergency drills. She dropped her datapad and rushed to the nearest observation deck. What she saw through the massive viewing windows made her blood run cold. Ships were appearing in space, not the usual flow of merchant vessels and passenger liners, but something entirely different. These were warships, and they were enormous. Each one was easily 3 times the size of the largest Zephyrian battlecruiser, their dark hulls bristling with weapon arrays that looked like they could crack planets in half. "By the 7 moons," whispered another captain who had joined her at the window. "What are those things?" More ships kept appearing, blinking into existence as if they were stepping out of empty space itself. Veltara counted 20, then 30, then gave up counting as the numbers climbed higher. The human fleet, for these had to be human ships, was larger than anything the Zephyrian military had ever assembled. The station's communication system crackled to life, and every screen in the facility suddenly displayed the same image. A human male in a crisp military uniform looked out at them, his dark eyes calm but somehow terrifying at the same time. Behind him, the bridge of his ship hummed with quiet efficiency. "This is Admiral Minho Park of the Earth Defense Fleet," the man said, his voice carrying clearly through every speaker on the station. "You are currently holding Lieutenant Hannah Kim, a citizen of Earth, against her will." Veltara felt her heart skip several beats. The quiet, polite young woman she had rescued was causing this massive military response. But how had Earth even known she was here? "You have 24 hours to return her unharmed to neutral space," Admiral Park continued, his tone never changing from its deadly calm. "Failure to comply will be considered an act of war against Earth." The transmission ended, leaving the station in stunned silence. Then chaos erupted as thousands of aliens began talking at once, their voices mixing into a roar of confusion and fear. In the station's command center, Commander Thexnor stared at her screens in disbelief. Just hours ago, she had been interrogating a helpless prisoner. Now that same prisoner's people had arrived with enough firepower to flatten the entire station. "How is this possible?" she demanded from her intelligence officers. "Our report said humans barely have a dozen military ships in this entire sector." Lieutenant Rextar, her second-in-command, worked frantically at his console. "Commander, our sensors are detecting 73 human warships. Each one is showing energy readings that exceed our most powerful battleships." "That's impossible. Where did they come from? How did they get here so fast?" "I don't know, Commander. They just appeared. Our long-range sensors showed nothing, then suddenly they were there." Down in the detention levels, Hannah Kim sat quietly in her cell, reading a book on her personal datapad. The guards outside were arguing loudly about the human fleet, but she seemed completely uninterested in their panic. "You knew this would happen," said the guard captain, pressing his face against the energy barrier. "That thing you activated, it was some kind of signal device." Hannah looked up from her reading with mild surprise. "I have no idea what you're talking about. I've been locked in this cell for 3 days." "Don't lie to us. How did your people know where you were?" "Earth keeps track of all its citizens," Hannah replied calmly. "When someone goes missing, we tend to notice." Meanwhile, in the High Council chambers on the Zephyrian homeworld, an emergency session was in progress. The most powerful leaders in Zephyrian space had gathered to discuss what everyone was now calling the human crisis. High Counselor Morthek stood before a massive display showing the human fleet. Military Command, give us your assessment of the situation. General Vexthor, the supreme commander of all Zephyrian forces, looked like he had aged 10 years in the past hour. The news is not good, counselors. Our analysis shows that each human ship carries more firepower than 3 of our battlecruisers. Their fleet could destroy our entire navy and still have ships left over. Shocked gasps filled the chamber. The Zephyrian military was considered one of the strongest in the galaxy. The idea that humans, could defeat them so easily was almost impossible to believe. How did we miss this? Demanded Counselor Nexara. Our intelligence report said humans were a weak, primitive species. That's what we thought, General Vexthor admitted. But clearly, we were very wrong. These ships use technology we don't understand. They appeared without warning, suggesting some kind of advanced faster-than-light drive we've never seen before. Chief Intelligence Officer Colmaven stepped forward, his usually confident demeanor completely shattered. Counselors, I must report that all our previous assessments of human military capability were apparently deliberate misdirection. The ships we've been seeing, the small patrol vessels and cargo haulers, were never their real military. Are you telling us, Morthek said slowly, that humans have been hiding their true strength this entire time? It appears so, High Counselor. While we thought we were dealing with an insignificant species, they were building one of the most powerful navies in the galaxy. Back on the station, Veltara found herself summoned to an emergency meeting with the station commander. Along with dozens of other ship captains, she crowded into a conference room where Station Admiral Qex was trying to maintain order. The situation is simple, the Admiral announced. Earth wants their officer back, and they have the firepower to take her. The question is whether we give in to their demands or fight. Fight. Captain Morganis of the merchant vessel Blue Star laughed bitterly. Did you see those ships? They could turn this station into space dust without even slowing down. If we surrender now, Admiral Qex replied, every species in the galaxy will think Zephyrians are weak. Veltara stood up slowly. Admiral, I was the one who rescued Lieutenant Kim. She's not a spy or a threat, she's just a medical officer who was trying to help sick colonists. This whole situation started because we treated her like a criminal instead of a rescued survivor. The room fell silent. Everyone was staring at the captain who had caused this crisis simply by being kind to a stranded human. Outside the station, the human fleet waited patiently in formation, their weapons powered down but ready. 23 hours and counting until Admiral Park's deadline expired. The galaxy was about to learn a very important lesson about what happened when you captured a human citizen. The emergency transport ship carried Captain Veltara through hyperspace toward the Zephyrian home world at maximum speed. She had never been summoned before the High Council before, and the message had been terrifyingly brief: report immediately for emergency consultation regarding the human incident. Through the small window, she could see other ships racing toward the planet, military vessels, intelligence craft, and diplomatic transports all converging on the capital. The entire Zephyrian government was clearly in panic mode. The High Council building rose from the center of the capital city like a massive crystal spear, its walls glowing with internal light. Veltara had only seen it in pictures before. As her transport landed on the official platform, she noticed armed guards everywhere, far more security than usual. Inside the building, the hallways buzzed with frantic activity. Officials rushed back and forth carrying data pads and classified files. Emergency meetings were taking place in every conference room. The air itself seemed to vibrate with barely controlled fear. Captain Veltara? A young aide appeared at her elbow, his scales pale with stress. The High Council is waiting for you in Chamber 1. The massive doors to the main council chamber slid open with a deep rumble. Inside, the 12 most powerful beings in Zephyrian space sat at their curved table, all looking like they had not slept in days. At the center, High Counselor Morthek gestured for her to approach. Captain, you are the only person who has spent extended time with this human officer, he said without preamble. We need to understand what we're dealing with. I don't understand, High Counselor, Veltara replied carefully. Lieutenant Kim seemed like a normal person. She was polite, intelligent, and helpful with our engine repairs. Intelligence Chief Mordeth stood up slowly, his forearms trembling slightly. Veltara had never seen the usually confident spy master look so shaken. Captain, what I'm about to tell you will change how you see humans forever. He activated a holographic display that filled the air above the council table. Images appeared showing human ships, space stations, and military installations. But these were not the small, simple structures everyone had seen before. For the past 30 years, Mordeth began, his voice hollow with shock, we have been completely deceived. Every exploration vessel, every trade ship, every peaceful human we've encountered, they were all deliberate misdirection. The images changed, showing massive shipyards hidden in asteroid fields and space stations disguised as research facilities. Hundreds of the enormous warships they had seen at the border were being constructed in secret locations throughout the galaxy. While we thought we were dealing with an insignificant species that barely had faster-than-light travel, Mordeth continued, they were actually building the most powerful military force in known space. Veltara stared at the holographic displays in disbelief. But that's impossible. Our intelligence networks would have detected construction on this scale. That's what we thought too, admitted General Vexthor from his seat at the war table. But look at this data we've gathered in the past few hours. New images appeared showing human cargo ships that were actually carrying advanced weapons, research stations that were military command centers, and exploration crews that were clearly intelligence operatives. The humans we've been seeing were never their real people, Mordeth explained. They were carefully selected representatives designed to make their species appear weak and harmless. Meanwhile, their actual military remained completely hidden. Councillor Nexere leaned forward, her voice sharp with anger. Are you telling us that every human we've met has been lying to us? Not lying exactly, Mordeth replied. But definitely not showing us the whole truth. Look at this. The display changed again, showing detailed files on thousands of human citizens scattered across the galaxy. Each file contained photographs, personal information, current location, and something that made Veltara's blood run cold, detailed rescue plans. Earth maintains complete records of every human in space, Mordeth explained. They track their movements, monitor their communications, and have contingency plans for their rescue from any location in the galaxy. How is that possible? Asked Councillor Rexthor. They've been placing hidden communication devices on all their ships and even in personal items, General Vexthor answered. When Lieutenant Kim activated that device in her identity card, it sent her exact location directly to Earth Defense Command. High Councillor Morthek stood up, his massive frame casting shadows across the table. Show her the doctrine. The holographic display changed one final time, showing a simple text document written in both human languages and galactic standard. At the top, in large letters, were the words that had become humanity's unofficial motto, no human gets left behind. Veltara read through the document with growing horror. It outlined Earth's policy regarding their citizens. Any harm to a human anywhere in the galaxy would be treated as a direct attack on Earth itself. The response would be immediate, overwhelming, and non-negotiable. What the galaxy mistook for human sentiment, Mordeth said quietly, was actually cold, calculated military strategy. Every human is considered a precious resource to be protected at all costs. But Lieutenant Kim seemed so normal, Veltara protested weakly. That's because she probably is normal, General Vexthor replied. Most humans likely don't even know about their military's true capabilities. The deception works both ways, even their own people believe they're a peaceful species focused on exploration and trade. Councillor Morgana, who had remained silent until now, finally spoke. So when Captain Veltara rescued this human officer, she inadvertently triggered a military response that treats any interference with Earth citizens as an act of war. Exactly, Mordeth confirmed. And based on the firepower we've seen, they have the ability to follow through on that threat. The council chamber fell into stunned silence. Outside, the human fleet continued to wait patiently at the border, their deadline approaching with each passing hour. Veltara realized she had not just rescued a stranded officer, she had accidentally discovered one of the galaxy's most carefully guarded secrets. Humanity was not the weak, primitive species everyone believed them to be. They were possibly the most dangerous military power in known space, hidden behind a facade of peaceful exploration and scientific curiosity. And now that secret was out. The question was what the Zephyrians would do about it, with less than 12 hours remaining before Admiral Park's ultimatum expired. The detention center doors slid open with a soft hiss, and Lieutenant Hannah Kim walked out into the corridor as calmly as if she had been visiting friends for tea. Behind her, 3 Zephyrian guards practically stumbled over each other in their hurry to show respect. Lieutenant, please accept our deepest apologies, Commander Thexnor said, her voice shaking with barely controlled fear. There was a terrible misunderstanding. We never meant to detain you improperly. Hannah smiled politely and adjusted her uniform, which had been carefully cleaned and pressed during her final hour of imprisonment. Thank you, Commander. I understand these things happen sometimes. The time display on the wall showed exactly 23 hours and 57 minutes since Admiral Park's ultimatum had been delivered. The Zephyrian authorities had waited until the very last possible moment before releasing their prisoner, probably hoping Earth's fleet would simply disappear. Captain Veltara waited in the corridor, relief flooding through her as she saw Hannah walking freely. Are you hurt? She asked immediately. Did they mistreat you? Not at all, Hannah replied honestly. They gave me books to read and regular meals. The guards were quite professional, considering the circumstances. As they walked toward the station's main docking bay, Veltara noticed how different everything felt. Other aliens stepped aside respectfully when they saw Hannah approaching. Shop owners bowed their heads. Even station security officers moved out of the way with obvious nervousness. Word of the human fleet's arrival had spread through every communication network in the galaxy within hours. The story grew more dramatic with each telling, but the basic message remained the same. Earth had appeared from nowhere with enough military power to destroy entire star systems, all to rescue one missing officer. At the docking bay, a sleek human transport waited to take Hannah home. The ship was smaller than the massive warship still positioned at the system's edge, but even this civilian vessel looked more advanced than most alien military craft. Captain Veltara, Hannah said as they reached the transport. I want you to know that what you did, rescuing me from that escape pod, it meant everything. You showed kindness when you didn't have to, and I will never forget that. I only did what anyone should do, Veltara replied, still overwhelmed by everything that had happened. Not everyone would have made that choice, Hannah said softly. Earth remembers its friends, Captain. Always. 3 days after Hannah's release, the effects of the Coltheris incident began rippling across the galaxy like waves from a dropped stone. On the pirate station Hidden Cove, crime boss Gareth the Destroyer gathered his crew for an emergency meeting. For 20 years, his organization had been one of the most feared in the sector, raiding merchant ships and selling captives to the slave markets. Release them, he ordered his lieutenants. All of them. Every human we're holding. Boss, some of those prisoners are worth millions of credits, protested his second-in-command. And keeping them will get us all killed, Gareth snarled. Did you see the size of that human fleet? They came to rescue one officer. What do you think they'll do if they find out we're holding 20 of their people? Within hours, confused human prisoners found themselves being escorted to shuttles and flown directly to the nearest Earth embassy. Similar scenes played out across hundreds of criminal organizations throughout the galaxy. The slave markets on Rigel 7 shut down completely when their Voltan operators discovered they had 3 humans scheduled for auction. The slaves were immediately freed, given new clothes, and transported to Earth territory with profound apologies. Meanwhile, legitimate businesses began competing desperately to help any human they encountered. Restaurant owners offered free meals to human travelers. Mechanics repaired human ships at no charge. Hotel managers upgraded human guests to their finest rooms without being asked. The reason was simple: everyone now understood that helping a human meant gaining Earth's friendship, and Earth clearly had the power to make or break entire civilizations. Captain Veltara received her new orders exactly 1 week after Hannah's rescue. She stared at the official document in disbelief, reading it 3 times to make sure she understood correctly. Admiral Veltara, commanding the 1st Diplomatic Fleet, Special Liaison to Earth Defense Command, she read aloud in her quarters aboard her new flagship. Her simple act of kindness had transformed her life completely. Instead of hauling cargo between mining colonies, she now commanded a fleet of Zephyrian warships and served as the primary contact between her people and humanity. Her first official meeting with human representatives took place in neutral space, aboard a massive diplomatic station that had been constructed specifically for such encounters. Admiral Minho Park himself attended, along with several other Earth defense officers. Admiral Veltara, Park said as they shook hands in the human custom. Lieutenant Kim spoke very highly of you in her report. She said you treated her with respect and dignity when many others might not have. I simply did what felt right, Veltara replied. That choice saved both our species from a war nobody wanted, Park said seriously. Earth values loyalty and kindness above almost everything else. You have both. On the other side of the galaxy, Lieutenant Hannah Kim reported for duty aboard the Earth Defense Force vessel Soul Star. The ship was one of the new class of deep space cruisers, designed for long-range missions in unexplored territories. As she walked through the corridors toward her new assignment, Hannah carried with her the knowledge that had changed everything she thought she knew about her own people. Earth's military was far more powerful than most humans realized, hidden behind carefully maintained illusions of weakness and innocence. But she also understood something else that filled her with quiet pride. Every human in space was connected to that vast, invisible network of protection. No matter how far they traveled or how dangerous their mission became, they were never truly alone. Somewhere in the darkness between stars, hidden fleets watched and waited. Ready to cross any distance, face any enemy, and pay any price to bring their people home safely. The galaxy had learned humanity's most important truth: they would never abandon one of their own, no matter the cost. And now everyone knew it.